the choices about post Phantom Nightmare and like what I was thinking about building the deck. And I think this Snake Eyes lineup is probably the right way to go, where you play one Oak. I know the OCG doesn't use Oak, but Oak in the TCG, I think it's going to be very important. It helps you play through Droll, and what also can help you do is combos like through Droll, set up plays through Nibiru. Like, I think those are the most important things. And if they use Ash or whatever on it, it doesn't really matter. Uh, the Fire King lineup, I've been going back and forth with this. So the one thing is, do you play Barong or do you not play Barong? So the rest of them are really simple, but playing Barong or not playing Barong, that is like the point I'm not sure about right now. And really, you could go either way, because the only time Barong comes up is when you get hand trapped, where you can help play. It helps you to play around the hand traps. But if you don't get hand trapped, it feels like it's just a brick you don't ever want to see in your hand. Like, sure, it's nice to like destroy it, yet to like add the Kieran or add the Garunix to hand, but other than that, it's like, do you really want to draw Barong as like another card? Not really. So I don't know. It's like, it's debatable on whether you want to play it. And then I definitely think maxing out on the Sinful Spoils package is right. Like 3 Black Witch, 3 Wanted, original, and then definitely play 1-for-1. Some people saying don't play 1-for-1. You want to play 1-for-1. It's a 4th copy of Black Witch, and Black Witch is the combo by itself. And you're not really losing anything. Like, if you either get ashed on the 1-for-1, or your opponent would just ash the original that you set off the Black Witch. So it's like you're losing the same amount of resources. The difference is you're just losing one at a different point. That's all it is. I guess if you start with Wanted, that could be a little bit different, where at least you get to recover the, at least you get to recur the draw by putting back the original, but you don't get to do it 1-for-1. So that could be something there, I guess. But it's another extender, really. Hand traps. I'm thinking that hand traps are like really weak versus this deck, right? Like Valor Imperm really just feel terrible because you have to use them early, and if you use them early, they can just special something else out. If they special something else out, it's like they just get to summon the what do you call it? They get as soon as they get the Flame Burge, like none of your Valor or Imperm actually matter. And then against Nibiru, the only time Nibiru comes up if you're playing against someone just who plays really poorly, and I think maybe that's going to be like a thing for like the first 2 weeks. But after the first 2 weeks, if we see more Nibirus, I guarantee you're going to see people play in a way where they set up their boards or do their line to play completely around Nibiru. So if you Nibiru at any point, it's dead. Or you're just negging one card for no reason. In fact, versus the Mirror, I don't even like Ash Blossom versus the Mirror. I think Ash has so many like do nothing points of interaction, but so you have to Ash, like when they go for original, you have to Ash. But if they have already set up the Apo or the Avada negate, Ash does nothing then because they're just going to negate it. And then if you use Ash really early, they might have the extender to go through it. It just feels like Ash is so bad, and the only reason it's here is because it's like a fire monster. Droll, I think, is like the best one because there's like not very many play arounds Droll, and if your opponent starts with Bonfire, they could just like lose because they get Drolled and they don't have any follow up. Yeah, I spoke about the Fire King Island, just the one of it. Again, I don't think you have enough Fire Kings to make it relevant past like one activation, and then after that, you just play through everything anyways. The one Sanctuary, we're not using Grunix and Skyburn. And then I'm actually starting to consider, like, I've been testing out Talents and Super Poly options. Like, Super Poly is a really good go second card against them, and like go first, you can use it like as board interruption for your opponent's turn, like especially if you're playing the mirror match. And if you're playing as Voiceless, you're able to turn off the X stuff as well, because they have like non-targetable, non-destruction cards, and that ritual monster is just real big bungus. Like I just want it gone, and like the cleanest way to out it is just Super Poly for Mud Dragon, because they have to leave low on the field, otherwise the monsters are vanilla essentially. Then like I'm still standing by like 2 Little Knights. I definitely think I want Little Knight for the grind, but I'm also thinking I need to find a way to put like Underworld Goddess in there, There's like Zelantis as well. Typhon's a possibility. Like, there's so many freaking cards you can use for the extra. It's just like, I don't know what to use. Like, what do you cut? Maybe you need to go down to one Linlight. You definitely can't go to one Princess. You have to play two Princess, because otherwise you just F yourself over trying to play through hand traps. And then there's always the option like to side deck another option, like Garura or anything like that. Nibiru and Bell. Again, I think Bell might be like just mid. I'm not sure if it's going to be good enough versus the mirror match. Sure, you can like Bell their like Garunix in hand. You could Bell the effect to Flame Birch, but if they've got trigger effects, then what they should be doing is they should be using it as a Chain Link 1 and then chain blocking it. And then Solemn Scolding, that's my like tech choice. Something I was working on with a theory. I'm not sure if like Solemn Scolding is going to work or not. It might work. Who knows at this point? It could be anti-spell. It could be just like for something like because I'm expecting like there's going to be like either the fire decks, the voiceless decks, and then everything else is playing shifter. And I'm thinking, is it possible that we need to use thrust? And what we do with thrust is we just find like something that can hurt the decks that shifter you. It's like when you get shifted, you can just like set something from the deck and be like, okay, cool. This is going to make sure I don't lose this turn. And maybe that's Karma Cannon. I have no idea at this point in time. But you've got to, I think you have to find something to beat shifter. It feels a lot like say Mystic Mine, where if you're not playing like an out to it, you're probably just gonna be vulnerable to it, right? You don't want to be inherently vulnerable to a card you don't have to be vulnerable to. So I don't know. It's something we've just got to sit down, think about, go through all the options, and then figure out what the most effective choice will be. Maybe it's just like, hey, if you get shifted, you just have to accept that and you can't do anything about it. Or maybe there are lines you can like set up that go through Super Poly. I mean, not Super Poly, shifter. Maybe Super Poly is like one of those outs or like cards that can give you playthrough on your own turn. I don't know. There's just there's so many options for this deck, and we're still right now in just like a theory stage of what can be used and what can't be. We'll figure out where to go from it. It doesn't look like there's much, but it looks like from the OCG playstyle, it might just be that we take out the Barong and maybe just main deck the Called by the Grave to give us like a one out to the shifter. It's a tough situation to be in, really, because there's nothing really you can do to like stop shifter. And the worst part about it is all of the Sinful Spoils cards, so Black Witch and Original, they both specifically have to send a card face up on the field to the graveyard. If they don't send a card to the graveyard, then nothing. Oh well, we've got plenty. We've got about a week still